everyone, welcome to DOdaily Thursday Thoughts. It's Des here, of course, live and ready to answer all your questions. Got some really good ones to get stuck into today. Before I start, I'll just mention the fact it's Time to Talk Day, and of course through DOdaily, all year I try to interact, communicate with others, trying to explain the way I'm feeling, try and support and encourage people to do the things they want to do to make themselves feel better. I feel like I'm a strong advocate of mental health and the things I do through running and of course DOdaily. Do you know what I mean? I can communicate with people when they need support, the support I've mentioned, and really try and help them through the power of activity, exercise, and just being there, enjoying the things that I really enjoy. Means I get to spend a lot of time with people. This is just another platform of doing exactly what I can. Before I get started, what I'd like to do is just remind you that all the links to the social media and what's happening on DOdaily are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. There's many ways to get involved. If you've got any comments to add today to any of the questions, I'd love to receive those. And of course, please like the video, do it now, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. That'd be absolutely fantastic. All I'm trying to do all the time is build a bit of a following, again with the hope of perhaps motivating, inspiring people to do things that they haven't done before. It all stems from me 5-6 years ago being in a point where I needed this kind of support and it wasn't there. Thankfully, I dug deep and really sort of found something, which is the running, which is my passion I always talk about, to sort of build on and take forward. It's led me to lots of new people, lots of nice situations, and the opportunity to talk about the way I'm feeling through this YouTube channel. And of course, it's that keeps me ticking, you know. And on days like today, it's just a reminder that we do need to keep talking. The more talking, the more communication, the more we listen to things, you know, it just helps us when we need it. I've been feeling it a little bit of late, but I'm not going to say too much because it's kind of in one or two of the questions. But what I'll also do is give a bit of a shout out to our Jamie. Anybody who's watched this over a period of time will understand that one of my real motivations, despite the fact I get questioned for doing it, sometimes I think people think I do it because for ego or wanting to sort of be out there. But the reality is I do it because I feel I've got a bit of a purpose in life. When a friend, somebody who joined the running group not long after I started, whilst I was at the start of my journey, took his own life, you know, and it was a really, really upsetting situation. It hit me hard. I'd not been a friend for too long, but it really, really sort of set me back a little bit. And again, thankfully, I found the sort of motivation to dig myself from that hole. But lots of things, his age, his background, you know, the fact he liked football and the same football team, meant it was all relatable. And for me, taking running forward from the early stages, I really wanted to build a legacy, and part of that has been DOdaily, and I'll always refer back to Jamie. And over the coming months, it's next few weeks, months, it will be 5 years since Jamie took his own life, and I want to do a lot around that to remember him through the running club, create permanent reminders of the fact he was part of it, and that running is a legacy from what happened there. So there'll be lots sort of creeping up, but a lot of it will come through DOdaily as well. But I'm really sort of in adversity looking forward to doing that, just to remember it, but keep the conversation going, keep the reminder out there that these things happen. It's unfortunate, it's so sad when it does, but we have to keep talking and making sure those around us are okay. Jamie, unfortunately, I feel like I could have impacted more if I'd met him a little bit sooner. Who knows? I don't know that, but I can't help but feel that. But I know in the short time that it was about, we were helping, and he was making a real sort of effort to be part of what the group's all about, part of the social media, really putting himself out there. And that was one of the saddest things about it, that he really made an effort. So it's important, guys, that we keep talking, keep being positive, keep being enthusiastic about the things I enjoy. I make no apologies for that all the time when I've got things on. It's not showing off. It's just really, really trying to sort of use it, create that good spirit. I've said it a couple of times already this week. When I'm happy, I'm absolutely flying these days, because I tell myself I need to be. That's part of the problem. When I'm not so happy, I still feel almost content, and that's a massive improvement from where I was a few years ago. And that is purely by doing the things I do, putting people together in groups to run, to exercise, to get the obvious benefits from that. I'm a strong believer that there's a direct link from physical to mental health, but also the fact I put myself out and do daily, to sort of put my feelings out there. When nobody's listening, at least I'm saying it, I'm watching it back, listening to it myself, taking heed of my own advice and some of the things I say. So it's a really important subject for me. And whilst I don't talk about it every single day, whilst I don't talk about the technical side of it, I refuse to do that. I want this to be honest, relatable, realistic in people's world. Some of that neuroscience and what the doctors do and what we see and what causes it, people don't need to hear that when they're suffering. What they need to hear is solutions and outcomes and ways of getting through it. And that's the way I try to approach it. Don't get me wrong, people who work specialising in mental health do an absolutely fantastic job. But I'm not that intelligent. All I can do is go off experience, off lived experience, and the way I deal with it day in, day out. A normal person, like everybody else, just suffering the ups and downs, and that's what it's about. So that's why it's really important for me. I thought it was really important to remind people of that today, and remind people of what DOdaily is all about. It's not as full on as that you'd seen yesterday. It was about a parkrun vlog, the positive side of activity, and encouraging sort of people to stay on top of things and inspire people to do new things. But on days like today, I think it's important to spread that message. And that kind of leads me nicely into the first question. With mental health being ongoing, particularly in the media, why do you think campaigns like Time to Talk are important and needed? And this was something I was discussing with Kay earlier. I think it's really, really important, to be honest, because whilst mental health is an everyday issue, of course, I bring DOdaily every day. I try and talk about it on a regular basis. So there's a regular check-in for people that might be interested. The reach is not far and wide. Like I said, I'm trying to build this thing, but there might be one or two people who look in just thinking that they need that little bit of support. They need to see other people experience the same things. So my offering is daily throughout the week. Couldn't possibly do it every day. I could do it every day, but it takes a lot of time and effort. So I do it as much as I possibly can. But and mental health is an everyday issue, and you see lots in the news sporadically. But I think campaigns like this are important. They quite often get scoffed at. It's almost like the New Year's resolution thing, when people are scoffing at that, saying, "Oh, people do this and they'll be giving up in a week." Use whatever you can. It's the same with something like this. We need that permanent reminder. Time to Talk Day is a good way of recreating the conversation. Like I say, when you see it on the news, it might be kind of sporadic, and it's working in with their agenda. Mental health's not about agenda, is it? It's about sort of dealing with it as and when it happens. But these reminders throughout the year, there's lots of different ones. There's Mental Health Awareness Week, there's Time to Talk Day, there's all sorts of other things, Friendship Day, Men's and Women's Day, all these sorts of things that people sort of can relate to sort of remind them that it's important. And this is just an opportunity today just to bring it all back up. For me, it's a perfect way of remembering our Jamie, remembering all the reasons I do it. It's coming up to that time of year. I mentioned the things I'm going to do through running and create some lasting memories on the back of that, to coincide with that 5-year period. But I think the important thing in all that is just that reminder. It comes on a regular basis, every year, every couple of months through the various campaigns. So that's why I think it's important. It's not to be scoffed at when people go, well, mental health is an everyday issue. Absolutely it is. But that doesn't mean you've got to be negative when these things crop up. These things are created to create a sort of some positive actions. Everybody who discusses and works around mental health will realise that there is stigma to it, and lots of people talk about it, and that's all they do. I've put a post out there on my own social media today saying lots of people talk about it, saying that they're ready to support and they'll do whatever they do. But when it actually comes to the crunch, what action do they do? What are they doing to support it? It's not always a case of being ready to deal with it when somebody tells you about it. Sometimes you've got to be proactive in supporting others and doing absolutely everything you can. So these campaigns are exactly that, aren't they? They're proactive in getting people going. So I think it's really important, and it's really sort of necessary to keep doing them. Thanks for the question. I thought that was a great way to sort of follow on from my introduction there. So really appreciate that. If anybody's got any comments, like I say, to anything I say here, please drop it in the comments. I'll try and interact and read those out. And of course, that's what it's all about. It's about creating, on a Thursday especially, creating two-way conversation where I can get what's on your mind, you can get what's on my mind, you can pick my brains and get on. John asked the question, what do you do when you think someone might need support with their mental health? Well, there's lots of things really. There's all the usual things. The big campaign today through Time to Talk is, however possible, create conversation. One of the big things I encourage through sharing that with Do Running is something we like to focus on, of course, is exercise is always a great icebreaker when it comes to things like this. Inviting people to go for a run, go for a walk, getting out in the fresh air. It helps me when I'm on my own. I gain clarity. I sort of work through processes and think myself. But when you're out with others, you can get them out in that situation, away from everything that might be causing them stress, that might be sort of aiding poor mental health, getting people out. But also the endorphins get flowing. Everybody feels better. Like I said, I strongly believe there's a direct link between physical and mental health. So one of the things I do is encourage people to go for a run. When I say encourage, and I spoke about this a lot on Tuesday training, I spoke about what running does for me and how it pulls me out of a slump. It is about encouraging, not forcing it, because I know how people switch off, and it does. Frustration is the wrong word. I suppose I feel sort of saddened when people drop their activity. Working in a running community and around people that like to run and take part in lots of activity, I see people's mental health go up and down. Of course, thinking about it a lot and weighing people up and talking about myself, I see it in others, and I realise that sometimes the first thing they do is drop their activity. It kind of saddens me because I think that's the worst thing they can do. I can understand why it happens, I really can, because people lose motivation, and part of exercise and getting out there is to build that motivation, to build yourself up to do it, because it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it and it wouldn't have the same kind of effect it does have when the endorphins get flowing, like I say. So one of the things I really try to do is encourage it. Like I say, there's a fine line there, and I'll just go back to the situation with our Jamie. When he did what he did, the running club was new. I was still finding my way, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing I could have done, but he'd not been about for 2 or 3 weeks before, and I was a little bit nervous about sending him a message asking where he was. I didn't want him to think I was putting pressure on him to come back to the running club. Didn't know whether he really enjoyed it. Transpires he really did, and like I say, from the posting and the way he interacted through the social media, I could tell he did, but I was just a little bit nervous about asking. But it learned me a lesson at that point, not to be nervous. It doesn't matter what people think about me, whether they think I'm encouraging them to come to the running club for my benefit or to for whatever reason. Now I will ask the question. I will ask people if they want to go for a run outside the running club, and that's one way I really try to support people. 3 times this week, I've been out and supported people in that way, and I don't need to make a big fuss of it or make a big deal of it, but that's what I've done at their convenience as well. Again, I'm quite prepared to offer my time, and that's something. I spoke to an old chap in the pub a couple of weeks ago, and he said to me, we were talking about various things, and he said to me, "What's the most precious thing you can give somebody?" And I said time, and he said exactly that. Because lots of people can be a little bit sort of protective of it, but for me, time with people is amazing time. It's interacting, it's getting to know people, it's doing what you do, and it's helping. And I like to think I'm someone that helps. So putting out in the sense of time, even when I'm busy, I find a way of fitting it in. Exercise is the big one. Of course, the usual things of texting and sort of calling people. What I try to do is ask people twice. That's really important, because we've all been guilty, haven't we, of being asked what's wrong, and you really want to say there's something wrong, but you go, no, I'm fine. And then if someone asks you again, you kind of pull it all out, because what happens there is you realise that they actually care. They're not just asking out of guilt or necessity or for whatever reason. They're not just asking for the sake of it. That's the word I'm looking for. They're asking because they really care. If people ask again, you know that they're interested and they want to listen, and that's really important, isn't it? And supporting means listening a lot, and that's really important. Quite often we can almost force our opinions back on people. Again, I'm somebody who talks a lot. I'm an opinionated person. I'll say what I think around people, but it's important to listen as well, isn't it? And take on board what people are saying. The last one I went on, I spent the first half of it listening, and then I felt it was time to sort of come in and say a few things and sort of use a few examples of my own. So it's really, really important to listen. And even in sort of everyday life, whether it's a mental health issue, just listening to people, you learn a lot more. Whilst I am quite sort of opinionated and I talk and I have to put myself in front of people, I do daily, I'm actually quite a quiet person. Sometimes when you sit back, you pick up on lots of things that are happening around you, and you notice certain things as well. So it's just a way where you can just sort of, in big groups, almost judge what's happening with people, and it gives you that opportunity to realise there might be something wrong. So listening. And when I'm in sort of coaching and doing group activities, I'll always ask people, are they okay? How did it go? How are you feeling? And sometimes they might see that as just a throwaway comment, but the reality is I'm trying to build a picture of what's happening and how I can get into people. I've done coaching sessions where they've been really flat and realised I've got to be the energy within it that day, and then you just sort of, I have to put myself out there, get out my own comfort zone, and by the end of it, everybody's thriving. And again, it's just working the situation, isn't it? There's a comment here. Kieran, he's one of my biggest supporters. He's always checking in. Here he is, the one and only DOdaily. Thanks for that, Kieran. But somebody getting something there, really appreciate your support. You do wonders for my mental health, so that's really appreciated. Really appreciated. But going back to the question, what do you do when you think somebody might need support? Basically, offer them time, send them messages, ring them up if I feel the situation's quite serious. There might be a text message. The second time might be a phone call. And of course, because of what I do, is offer them sort of one-on-one activity, or keep inviting them to the group. When I feel they might just be struggling a little bit, just keep reminding them that it's important to keep coming along. And those questions were great today. That I really, really appreciate those. Like I say, keep your comments coming. And if you're watching sort of after the show, please comment too. What I will just say before getting to that question, there's a little bit of music behind today. I found a new feature on this. So if that works, let me know. If it doesn't, I'd just love to get some feedback on that. I don't know. I'm just playing it through. It might just help. I don't know. Just let me know. I just realised it was on there myself after all that time. But got stuck into those questions. And like I say, just keep talking, guys. Whatever you do, the slogan today behind the campaign is, however you do it, start a conversation about mental health. It's quite to the point, isn't it? And that's brilliant, because that's what I feel it needs to be sometimes. To the point, like I say, let's not get too involved in what caused it, the technical side of it, the science, what the doctors have got to do and what the ultimate outcome is. Let's just try and find solutions. Let's just talk about current situations, real situations that are happening, and I think we'll get a lot further. So that sort of leads me nicely to moving. Well, I didn't realise that was the question, actually. Carrying on the subject, how are you feeling at the moment? Well, I've touched on recently, haven't I, that I've not been 100%. January blues, a lot happening at the end of the year, a lack of activity, which I've already mentioned a lot, especially this week. I've been really sort of frustrated. I'm getting back into it. I've now ran for the last 3 days, which has made me feel so much better already. So I've not been feeling fantastic, but I realise I have to do that running, that activity, do the things I know work, the things I say I do daily. Sometimes I'll say something on here and I've got no intentions of going out for a run or a walk. I speak a lot on a Monday, especially about if I get that walk in on a Monday afternoon, it sets me up for the week. It feels like I've already done what I should do, and then it leads me on to do daily, and then I do the things I do on Tuesday and get stuck into my work and all these things. So it's really important for me just to sort of keep watching back what I say, listening to what I say, just saying it in the first place. I don't watch every episode back, but almost listening back to what I've said, really does pick me up, because I think it can be a reminder. Like I say, I can say things sometimes, and we're all guilty of this. And it's not that I don't mean it, because I know it works, and I know it subconsciously I'm telling myself to go and do something like a walk or a run, but I can say it with no intentions of doing it. And then once it is said, once it comes out, it's in my mind then that I've got to go and do it. So these are the things. Do daily itself is a way for me to stay on top of things. I've already touched on it by talking through this, even when I know there's not many listening. It's just a way of offloading. It's a way of getting things off my chest, trying to articulate it, trying to process it, trying to come up with solutions. As much as I'm trying to come up with solutions for others, I'm trying to come up with a solution for me as well. And it's one of the best things I've ever done. I can't imagine now. I quite often think this is hard work, and perhaps I need to change things and shake it up. But I can't imagine not doing this, because it does wonders for me. Like I say, when I'm struggling a little bit, I find that contentment from the things I do. So right now, it's building. The momentum is building, mainly because I can get out for a run. I'm enjoying some of the nice things I've got. The football's going well. It's not always the case. Going to watch Forest, that seems to be amazing. I've met some really nice people. So the momentum is building again. We've got some massive plans for the rest of the year, which are exciting, yet daunting. Whether me and Kay had a bit of a conversation just yesterday, we wasn't planning to speak about it, but we touched on this subject between ourselves. We've both been feeling a little bit flat, and is it just a case that there's lots to come and we know it's going to hit us quite hard? But it's all exciting stuff, but it's all sort of stressful stuff as well, I guess, at times. So we've just got to work through it, and we've got to work together. When we work together on stuff, we're so much better. When we sort of distance ourselves a little bit from one thing and another, again, the importance of communication, the importance of sort of staying in touch. We all do it, from the closest people to us to the people we don't see very often. It's important to stay in touch and keep talking. And like I say, from that conversation, I felt a lot better about it. I'm sure she did too. After a tricky January, we feel like we're back into our routines, our habits, working towards targets and goals. And again, ultimately, they become achievements. And that's what's going to make me feel a lot better. So thanks for that question. Really, really enjoy questions like that, Steph, because I want to be honest. I want to say how it was. I want to say when the tough times were. I want people to know that, because it goes back to that point I make about real situations, with real people. Sometimes we watch stuff on the television, or we'll hear something from certain people, and it just feels a little bit untouchable, and it don't feel like the real world if it's famous people saying it, or this or that. When it happens in your environment, in your community, it has a hard-hitting effect, and it has on me, and that's why it's really, really important to discuss these kind of things. So thanks for all those questions on that subject. A great sort of way to mark today, time to talk, and like I say, start sort of processing some of these plans I've got for Jamie. It's really sort of give me the determination to do all those things. Whilst I'm going to do them anyway, it's just give me that sort of motivation and spark to really get it right, really sort of not let my guard down, not forget how important these things are to me. And I've put lots of posts out there today through my own social media platforms. Again, you can see all those going across the bottom. Check them out. I'm not embarrassed about it. Some people might looking at me and go, is he going on again? It doesn't matter, because the subject is so important. And the more we realise that we can aid each other's mental health, that's important too. Whilst I'm really, really sort of focused on helping others, I've realised through doing DOdaily how important my mental health is, and how others can't neglect it. Sometimes, like I say, people would rather question than ask questions. Thursday, I ask people to ask questions all the time. It's hard work getting people to do that. It's much easier to get people to question something I've said, but if they ask me that question, I can offer a balanced and thought out response, and then we get to the crux of the issue, just like I said with Kay. So that's been a great way to sort of mark this week's episode. So thanks for all that input around that time to talk and mental health subject. Just changing the subject slightly. One of the things that's kept me going, one of the things I've done this year is create that Project Parkrun PB challenge, where I'm looking to sort of work up my targets. Again, I said they're starting to pick up. And one of them is vlogging my parkruns. Again, trying to find a bit of different content, trying to inspire and motivate people, firstly to do some activity, but also use parkrun if necessary, which is an amazing sort of thing that I take so much from, that really assisted my mental health journey at the start of this running process. So what I'm doing is vlogging it to try and get back to a point where I was really strong, where I was achieving things, where I was getting lots of personal satisfaction. And if you saw yesterday's vlog, it's had a really good response, lots of feedback, lots of comments, lots of likes, people messaging me saying that it was absolutely brilliant. I was at Illy Fields at the weekend, and whilst the vlog was great, I really enjoyed watching it back. You saw just how tough that particular part was. Running is never easy. When they stick endless amount of hills in a park running, you have to keep running around them, and you have to do them 2 hills 3 times, 6 hills in total. It's really, really hard. So Ian asked, he says, loved the vlog yesterday. Do you think Illy Fields is one of the hardest park runs you've done? In all honesty, I think it is. I've done lots of park runs. Nottingham, I've got some hilly park runs. Anyone that's done Gedling and Bestwood Country Park run in Nottingham, will know they've got some serious hills in, and more than one. Just like Illy Fields. I think, considering the level of fitness I'm at, which is not fantastic compared to where I want to be, Hilly Field was possibly the toughest yet. When I've done the others, don't get me wrong, I've done park runs hungover, I've done flat ones, and felt really, really, felt they were really, really tough. But I think, all things considered, weighing everything up, the hill on the grass, check out the vlog. At 5 minutes in, I think someone pointed out, I show a picture, a scene from me turning the corner to run up the hill. It's on grass, and like I say, you do it 3 times. It was tough. It felt awful at the time, But believe me, I come away from it and felt absolutely amazing. After every park run, I feel the same. Doing those vlogs, putting them together, it almost becomes a little bit emotional. You know, I absolutely love it. It feels fantastic to think I've done it. You know, it's brilliant, and I've got another one ticked off, and I'm working towards my targets. Right now, it doesn't matter about the times. It doesn't matter about how I feel so much. Of course, I want to start feeling better. It's just about ticking them off, getting some fitness going, getting the legs going, you know, and really sort of pushing forward. So thanks for the question, Ian. Really, really appreciate that. Just sort of going back to the previous stuff, I've got a few comments coming here. Case is such an important subject. It can never be discussed too much. And that, again, just sort of reiterating, it's the reason I do daily. And Dawn says it was definitely the hardest part one. It should have been called a hilly mountain. It was really hard. Just going back to that part one thing. But, you know, it's been great preparation. I've mentioned 3 times already. I mentioned I've run 3 times already this week. And that's more than I've done. They've not all been as tough. Well, I've run 4 times, including that park run. And all that is preparation for my next event, which leads me nicely into my final question. This was actually from Mark. It doesn't say there, but are you ready for the Skegness 10K? All this I've done so far has nicely prepared me. Yesterday, I extended it to 4 miles. Today, I got up early and went for a run, sort of almost running on tired legs, back to back over 3 days. So am I ready? I'm not quite sure because I've not run a 10K for a long time, but I've prepared. At least I've got some miles in. I've done the hilly work. This 10K is going to be flat. Surely it's going to be flat. It's Skegness. I don't actually know the route, but got my number ready. So I'm feeling like I'm almost ready to do it. First event of the year. I said to someone tonight, I'm so glad it's only a 10K, not a half marathon or anything longer. So whilst I've got some really big events to train for, and again, I'm looking to work on my 5K PB, I think 10K is a good one to throw in to push that little bit further. Still a little bit concerned about 1 or 2 niggles, but having done what I've done, I'm ready to do an event now. But for us runners, this is what it's all about. You know, getting out there, doing these events, getting the t-shirt, getting the medals, you know, and just feeling that achievement again. It doesn't matter what time you do. It doesn't matter how you get through. It doesn't matter how you feel. Believe me, when you get to the finish line, the feeling is absolutely amazing. I'm sure it'll be no different on Sunday. One thing that might spur me on Sunday is we have literally got to jump. It starts at 11 o'clock. I'm expecting it to take me an hour. So that's 12 o'clock. And Forest play Leicester in the big FA Cup game at 4 o'clock. So we've literally got to jump in the car, or is it 3 o'clock? I've confused myself now with times. But I've got somebody tell me in the comments, I've got to jump in the car and we've got to make our way back. So hopefully that's going to just inspire me. I always remember a few years ago, just a random run before a football match, incidentally, here in Nottingham. I was running every day at the time, and I finished work late, I think at 6 o'clock, and I was running 10Ks, and I wanted to go out and get a 10K in. I just on a very hilly, average night, you know, but a hilly run. I got one of my fastest 10K runs ever because I knew I had something to do after. So it's probably just that sort of Dawn's reminding me it's 4 o'clock, so it's not quite as much of a rush. Thanks for that. I was right the first time. Dawn would probably say as ever, but there you go. Just kidding. But yeah, on this random sort of night, I went out before a football match, got done what I had to do. I know I only had a certain amount to get back, get changed, get gone. And I ran one of my best 10Ks ever on one of the most hilliest routes. So who knows? Skegness might surprise me. My target, I'm putting it out there, I'm saying it, is an hour. I'm open to it's touch and go. It's not an easy target for me to reach right now. Of course, having done Hilly Fields in 30 minutes and 4 seconds, I've done a few 5Ks in around 28 or so minutes. So it should be doable, but I'm putting it out there again to make myself to add that little bit of accountability, not just the fact I want to sort of finish as quick as I can to get in the car and make sure I get back in time for the atmosphere in the game, but also I'm saying it now, I want that sub hour. I like to say my targets again, not to sort of go. I'm not gloating at that sort of time. I've done much quicker, but just to sort of make myself accountable and leave something in my mind, leave something on me almost to give it a real go. So thanks for all those questions, guys. Brilliant. That's been really enjoyed that. And like I say, comment whether that music in the background works, whether you can hear it. I can just about hear it when it pops into my head. But I feel like that's been a good one. I feel like we've really addressed some mental health stuff there, and then the lighter stuff at the end has been a nice way to finish. Of course, if you've got any questions, I'd love to sort of get them. All these questions are just what people want to ask me. Again, it doesn't matter if they're as deep as the first lot, as sort of straightforward and as easygoing and running based as the last lot there, or questions about anything, about what's going on in the world, about how my day's been, questions about how Jamie, some people might want to hear a little bit more about that through the running group and the closed groups we've got. I speak a lot about that. People know the issues, and I'll constantly remind people. And again, he's a real inspiration to me, the way he went about things, and despite what happened, the way he sort of conducted himself, I can only admire that, and try and be a similar kind of person. None of us can be the same, and we all deal with things differently. Thankfully for me, at the depths of my sort of depression, I guess, I got to a stage where I could take that forward and find something that almost became a calling. Someone said that to me on Saturday, and I've said it a couple of times because they've said it. So I'm starting to believe it, and that's important to believe as well. You've got to believe in yourself, so we can take things forward, we can be positive, we can be happy, and ultimately things will fall into place. Like I say, if you've got any questions, please drop it on any of the comments, on any of the videos throughout the week, on any of the social media, or if you'd rather keep it anonymous, just drop me an email. I will never mention anybody. I always use myself as an example, again, just to try and be honest, relatable, and not bring anyone else into it. Sorry, that's just a bit ahead of myself, that one. And to finish on a lighter note, rather than sort of drag the mental health thing on, I'll talk about that throughout the week, and like I say, come from my point of view. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. The throwback question, I tend to use one of the questions we've received. So, where would you like to see me do a parkrun vlog from? Of course, over the next year, I'm planning to do a vlog every Wednesday from my Saturday parkrun. Feel really fortunate and lucky to have done lots of new ones recently. Someone set me a challenge towards the end of last year to do 5 new ones. That was kind of the inspiration to do the vlog, because I really enjoyed what I was doing. Luckily, through following football, through having other things to do, I've managed to get to several other places as well. I've got some more lined up in the coming weeks. But where would you like to see me do a parkrun vlog from? Is there somewhere that you've been, that's stuck in your mind, that you'd like to see more of? I'm trying to develop this as well as I go. Like I say, I think last week's was better than week 2, and week 2 was better than week 1. Trying to make it a bit crisper and sharper, and try and sort of highlight what parkrun's all about, as well as the fact I'm trying to hit my targets as well. So is there a location? Please drop it in the comments. I'd love to sort of get some ideas, get some inspiration. Read out, tell me as well why you enjoy that parkrun, why you want me to do it. And again, that will give some sort of inspiration to others, and perhaps encourage them to get there, or even just do parkrun in the first place. And that's what that's all about. So all your feedback will be welcome. And of course, I'll be back first thing in the morning, wake up to walk. Probably going to be local. We've got 1 or 2 things to do here. Of course, I like to get out somewhere new. Over the last couple of weeks, I found a few real quiet little spots in the middle of suburbia. Everybody can get up and walk. The reasons I do it will all become apparent on the episode. I sort of reiterate those. I go through the week. I look forward to the weekend, let people know what I'm up to. Just again, it's that processing thing, that time out, that sort of getting in touch with my soul. Almost using it for those reasons. In the coming weeks, I'm going to develop the Fridays. I've got a new challenge to work to, just like the Robin Hood Way. I'm also going to do something on a Sunday and show people where I've spoken with some music over, without me droning on it. Yeah, if that's your kind of thing, that would be really sort of a really nice addition to what I do. Dawn has dropped a comment in already on that throwback. Sherwood Pines Parkrun would be one I'd like to see a vlog of. I've heard it's beautiful in spring. I've actually been there before, and it is somewhere I want to get back to. It's horrible in winter, by the way. It's so muddy and slippy, but I'd imagine the spring, when everything's crisp, or the autumn even, when with all the colours, it's absolutely amazing. It's in the heart of Sherwood Forest, and it's not too far away from where I live, so there's definitely potential in that one. I'm sure it won't be too long before I'm there. Well, thanks for that feedback already. Like I say, wake up to walk. I'll be out and about at 7 a.m. in the morning. The vlog will be on a little bit later. Once again, if you've enjoyed the episode, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel. And please comment if you've got anything to add. I rely on that on a Thursday. So until the morning, just doing it. Keep talking.